Hello, all. Welcome to the weekly series of Caring Conversations Empowering Lives for Cancer Care. In this series of events, we come together along with eminent experts in the field to discuss and empower cancer patients as they fight their battle against the disease. In today's event, I'm going to be your host, and we have guests from the eminent speakers here to discuss about what we are doing and how we are doing empowering cancer care. We will try to understand what is meant by real world data and the value it has to accelerate cancer research. Then we will hear from our distinguished guest, Dr. Oliver Fante, about the recent advances in healthcare and diagnostics using artificial intelligence. As always, we would encourage you to ask questions to our experts by typing them in the comments section. We will definitely try to take it up as soon as we finish the session. The more the questions, the better the session. So let's begin today's session with Beat Cancer Facts. In about 3 to 5% of cancer patients, particularly in cases where the tumors have metastasized throughout the body, oncologists don't have an easy way to determine where the cancer originated. Now, in simple word, what it means is the cancer has spread across the body. How do you understand where did the cancer originate from? So these tumors are classified as cancers of unknown primary, CUP. Now, this lack of knowledge often prevents doctors from being able to give patients precision drugs, which are typically approved for specific cancer types where they are known to work. These targeted treatments tend to be more effective and have fewer side effects than the treatments that are used for a broad spectrum of cancers, which are commonly prescribed to CUP patients. So now, in again simple words, what it means is when you know what exact organ or where the tumor has been formed, where it has originated from, it is better to have a drug for that particular organ where the tumor originated rather than going for a broad spectrum. In a new research developed by researchers at MIT and Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, it may become easier to identify the sites of origin for those enigmatic cancers, the cancers that we are not able to diagnose where they originated from. Using machine learning, the researchers created a computational model that can analyze the sequence of about 400 genes. That's something that is not possible for a human brain, and use that information to predict where a given tumor originated in the body. Using this model, the researchers showed that they could accurately classify at least 40% of the tumors of unknown origin with high confidence in a data set of about 900 patients. Now, this approach enabled a 2.2 fold increase in the number of patients who could have been eligible for a genomically guided targeted treatment based on where the cancer originated. That was the most important finding in our paper, that this model could potentially be used to aid treatment decisions, guiding doctors towards personalized treatments for patients with cancers of unknown primary origin, says Inte Moon, an MIT graduate student in electrical engineering and computer science, who is the lead author of the new study. Alexander Gusev, an associate professor of medicine at Harvard Medical School and Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, is the senior author of the paper, which appeared last week in the journal Nature Medicine. So, similar to such amazing discoveries to aid better cancer, artificial intelligence tools are being used in a wide spectrum of points, right from aiding diagnosis to suggesting better treatment options. To discuss more on these opportunities and challenges of what AI or how AI can help, of what AI based tools can be used for early detection of cancer, we have with us today our distinguished guest, Oliver Fante. Dr. Oliver has done his doctoral in theoretical mathematics and spent several years as a postdoctoral researcher at Max Planck Institute. He is a senior data scientist at Innoplexis, and before that has worked at Lufthansa Industry Solutions and bio and tech in the same field. Welcome, Dr. Oliver Fante, to our event. Looking forward to an engaging session filled with insights for all of us. Welcome.
Yeah, hello, Girish. Thank you for this kind introduction.
Great.
Hello, and the audience. Hello.
So before we start, Oliver, for our viewers to understand better, what artificial intelligence is, can you please elaborate on the term we use, and it's been used widely across the industry, across industries, the term artificial intelligence. That way, it is easier for them to connect and understand what we mean and what we're going to speak about. To you, Oliver.
I mean, what is artificial intelligence is a rather, let's say, a deep question. I mean, it allows a lot of answers. I think the best way to approach this is to think about the differences between the intelligence we ordinarily deal with, the human ones. Yeah, I mean, the origin is different of artificial intelligence. I mean, human intelligence is originated in the brain by the one of artificial intelligence, at least as far as we know. It's located in chips, in computer chips or graphical processor units. Then the way they learn is different. I mean, a machine learns only by trials and errors. It has its data, yeah, and then it analyzes the patterns and tries to recognize something within it. And when it does a wrong prediction, then it somehow alters its behavior, or it is trained to do it. While humans, yeah, they have a long time of education and social interaction. It's called childhood. It takes a couple of decades until you are prepared to for the world, and the motivation is also a thing which makes human intelligence quite different from artificial intelligence. I mean, human intelligence is very self-driven. Somehow humans, yeah, they like to do something. A machine only responds so far to instructions. Yeah, if you do not talk to it, then it does not reply to you. A computer, even though they are far better in playing chess than any individual human being, they have no, let's say, incentive to be a chess champion in the world championship. Yeah, there is someone who guides them or instructs them to do this. It's also not known that machines or artificial intelligence has some kind of consciousness, of some kind of self-awareness, which is somehow assigned to human intelligence. And also the coverage is still a bit limited. Yeah, many artificial intelligence tools, they are what one considers as artificial intelligence. They stick to a certain domain. Yeah, even ChatGPT, it's so far only for text processing. However, this will change pretty soon in the future, but still humans have here some kind of edge. They have language, vision, and also manual skills. And let's say, to wrap this up, I mean, what most people understand under artificial intelligence is what we see now with ChatGPT, neural networks and machine learning, but to some extent it's not limited to this. It's simply, let's say, a difference from what we know as human intelligence so far.
Great. What a simple way to put it across, right? There's an organic growth that happens in humans. That's the brain intelligence that you call it. And then the intelligence that is there in the chips is artificial intelligence. Great. Thank you, Dr. Oliver. So, as we see intelligence that is coming through the computer. So, to your point, again, I would say that probably artificial intelligence is still in its childhood era, just to add across, right? So, but then we also know that there are a lot of algorithms being developed and capable of detecting cancer early. Can you give us some examples to help us understand how AI algorithms are capable of detecting cancer early, and what makes it possible?
I mean, yes, sure. I mean, there is this entire realm of imaging. Yeah, I think you use artificial intelligence or utilize it or apply it on imaging data to support physicians in doing diagnostics. For instance, breast cancer, these mammography scans you have there, also fMRI scans, MRI scans, PET scans, so all kind of these imaging data. I think they are the primary use case where artificial intelligence is used to do diagnostics or to detect cancer within or cancer tissues within these images, and then do this also early. Because let's say it has turned out already, let's say, I would say about 5 to 7 years ago, that machines achieve more or less superhuman performance on imaging. So that they can really, they cannot replace, but definitively support a physician in doing these kind of diagnostics, and then because they are superhuman, also of doing early diagnostics. So imaging is really the primary use case. I think with all the papers written on application of AI in medical imaging, you can pave an entire street. So it's really an abundance of literature out there, and also of industry applications. I think the FDA approved a couple of hundreds of AI-driven diagnostic tools. But this is not the single one. Another one is, let's say, apart from imaging, and this becomes now more and more relevant or interesting to many players in the field, is real world data. So it's really, let's say, the plain electronic health records of patients, that you utilize them and then to, let's say, learn from the entire patient journey, because frequently, or let's say in many cases, a patient is sticks to a certain clinic, and you have really decade-long data for a single patient, so really longitudinal data, and from these journeys, you also try to predict cancers. I mean, there was really one seminal paper on pancreatic cancer where the authors used the publicly available data set for researchers, available data set from Denmark, because they are really far ahead of making their data available in an electronic way. And there they succeeded in making pancreatic cancer early detectable, which is quite hard for this kind of cancer, because it's always almost for sure detected too late.
Oh,
So
okay.
these are really use cases.
Great. Technology is going to take us places. So, moving forward, so do you think, how can AI be used for screening tests like histological imaging or predicting high risk factor groups? I think you touched upon one of them, predicting high risk factor groups who should be checked regularly. Is there also analysis being done on that, on
Yeah, I
getting this?
mean, yeah, yeah, sure. I think regarding histological imaging, I mean, it still relies on a biopsy. Right? You should take some tissue of a patient and then do the analysis of it. And I think one major progress which could be achieved in recent future is, let's say, one can get rid of them at all, of histological imaging. Yeah, it's called, this is an entire research field. It's called virtual biopsy, that you take all the other image data you have from a patient, from radiology, to replace biopsies at all. So, and which would be good, because in general, I mean, you have to take away some tissue, and depending on the location of the cancer, this can be quite painful, because you need some kind of surgery to get this tissue. So if, let's say, less invasive diagnostic methods would be possible, this would be a good, good progress. Maybe get rid of histological imaging at all. This might be a use case. And let's say regarding, let's say using the second part of your question, whether high risk factor group identification can be assessed with artificial intelligence. I think that's also possible. Then this goes more into recommender, AI recommendation, because then you recommend some patients that they do some of these diagnostics we discussed in the previous question. And there, I mean, there's a lot of effort, let's say, in all this entire space doing AI applications in genetic testing, really getting using all the genetic data you have already from, let's say, next generation sequencing methods and whatsoever is flying around in the realm out there, that you use this data and try to find patterns and correlations that some certain genetic variations might trigger some diseases, not only cancer, but also other diseases. And if you identify a certain patient with this kind of pattern, then you can recommend him or her that she conducts some tests more frequently than other people would do. I mean, this is already in place for, let's say, breast cancer. Yeah, I mean, there are certain risk factor groups you're already aware of, and in the case you know them, and you can then with AI detect them more precisely or find even more new risk factors, then you can make more reliable recommendations for a patient to, let's say, attend one of these diagnostic procedures like breast cancer screening, or also for men, it's then the prostate cancer, the most frequent one, where it's, at least in Germany, I think from the age of 50, people are encouraged to go frequently there. And let's say, if you can be more precise here, more reliable, it will benefit, everybody will benefit, because then you do not, let's say, make a recommendation that everybody from a certain age onwards needs to do this, with who they do and not do anyway. Yeah, I mean, in general, this kind of offer is not used. And so it would be making it more precise and more reliable can be definitively a good way to improve cancer care.
Wow. Yeah, that's a very nice point, right? Because we talked about, at the start of the session, I talked about how precision medicine could help, right? And then what you're telling me is then this could be also that we could have a precision test for people who are at high risk, rather than making a general statement about saying all women above this age have to go through mammography, or all men have to go through this particular test. That's a very nice point. I mean, AI and the data behind it can help us make those tests, very, very particular or very, very precise for that high risk individuals or high risk group.
And also cost saving. I mean, that's also a fair point.
Yeah,
So if you can save
absolutely. Yeah, it
costs,
is basically that's a good point, right? I mean, at the end of it, cost of healthcare, we all know is being talked about in all forums. So if we could have precise tests being done, then that's also going to bring down our cost overall. Great. So, we talked about data, or we touched upon data a little bit, right? So then what type of data is required to build these AI applications? Is there anything specific that, we are looking at, or you are looking at specifically?
um, yeah, I mean, I mean, I already mentioned all this imaging AI tools. They,
Mhm.
of course, require imaging data. Yeah, and also, let's say, then this other tool on the making pancreatic cancer, making early predictions on it. It requires electronic health care records. This kind of data, I mean, all kind of data is to some extent relevant if it
Got it.
takes a quality threshold. I think more relevant to a phrase here, or to point out here, is, let's say, the diversity of the data. Clinical data in general, and then this also holds true for the data where the AI models are trained, they still suffer from some biases. I mean, if you build an AI model which, let's say, promises to early detect skin cancer, and you only train it on skin cancer images from Caucasian people, then it might not be very reliable detecting skin cancer for people who are not from the northern western hemisphere, to make a rather trivial example. And you have all these kind of biases. I would say, I mean, this is generally a problem for AI, these biases, because it's in the
Mhm.
training data. You have this in all kind of AI applications, and there's a huge research industry in mitigating biases in AI. And of course, it becomes even more relevant and more critical in medical applications. Yeah, we really need highly diversified data, not let's say only from I do not know the precise numbers, but I would say a good percentage fraction of clinical trials are more or less still conducted in northwestern hemisphere. And if we could get rid of these kind of bottlenecks and really collect more diversified data, it will definitively leverage the applicability of the AI tools.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, I mean that's a valid point, right? So we're making this more democratized, making sure that the data from all hemispheres of the world are available, all regions of the world is available. That's gonna make the AI learn quicker and faster and maybe more diverse. Very nice. So, but coming back to are the technologies ready to use real world data? Is there some systems that are already in place? Are they talking about this being used in real world use cases as well? Are we there or are we not there yet in terms of applications in real world life with real world data?
No, we are definitively already there. I mean, these imaging tools we have, I do not know the precise numbers, but as far as I know, the FDA has already approved a couple of hundreds of diagnostic supporting tools,
Hmm.
which assist people in doing the diagnoses. So we already have these kind of AI models in place, approved, because it's, let's say, not only the industry decides on that they want it, it also needs approval because it's a highly regulated field,
Right.
medical, yeah, medical use of AI. However, there's also another one which is more related to real world data, or what is now framed as real world data, this kind of patient data is also, and this is more recent, this is synthetic arms, yeah, that you have this, these, yeah, you have already this patient data, also data from different trials, the trial data, and then you can, from these trials or patient data, you can compose new trials. Let's say if you already have a single arm study, you can get a second arm, a comparator arm from historical data from another trial, or even from patient data you have gathered from various clinics. And this is, I mean, there are examples already. I think Merck approved one drug like this in 2017, and also other players work with this. And this is now really, this, I mean, it has already started, but a rather new development that you really use real world data, yeah, real patient data, really data from people like us, like you and me, that you construct from them new trials, yeah, which would then accelerate the drug approval or broaden its applicability. I mean, if you have a similar trial already conducted, let's say in India, instead of only the European Union, yeah, you can, let's say, take this as a comparator arm as well to let
Right.
the drug be approved in India as well, because there are already some measures in place to prevent some kind of biases. And yeah, and this will definitively become a big thing in the next years. That one can accelerate drug approval or drug repurposing by these synthetic arms.
Great. I wish I could continue doing this conversation with you, Dr. Oliver. This is really great. It is really insightful and with your expertise. So we appreciate you for your time and your valuable contribution to the field. I'm sure that AI will take us to the next level in terms of what we imagine in terms of drug discovery and the tests being conducted. Thank you for your time today.
Yeah, sure. Welcome. Thank you for listening to me and your questions.
Sure. So, with this, we all come to an end to today's event. Thank you all for taking part in this engaging session. We look forward to seeing you again next week when we will have Dr. Samir Guliani, who will be emphasizing on why and what we should discuss the option of clinical trial participation with patients who could benefit from them. As Dr. Oliver pointed out, right, we want to spread what is being done across the regions, across the globe, so that data is collected with diverse individuals' participation, and data is the only one that will drive better and better intelligence for all of us. So, with this, we will close today's session. Hope you learned something today. Until we see you next time, thank you. Bye bye.